Hello everybody, I'm CJ Miller. I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, out on my balcony downtown, and let's see, across from downtown, across the Red River from downtown is beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. Come check us out, and lots of fun things to do. I did my budgeting, and this is something that I did decide to do. I have a trip coming up. My first, cruise that's coming up in a few weeks, and I decided, looking at the cast list, or I should say the panel, the panelists who were going to be at GeekCon. I decided that this year I didn't have to go to it. I normally go every year. I love it. But I decided not to, and the reason why I decided not to is the panelists largely were, there was a celebration. And what that means is the cast of the Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtle movies. The first one and the second one from the 80s, or the 90 going to the 80s. I don't know. It was whatever it was, 90 something. Anyway, the big panelist involved with that, whom I would have wanted to speak with, would have been Ernie Reyes Jr., but that was only to remind him that he was at the 1988 National Junior Olympics, and so was I. I shook his hand. I was, there's no way he'd remember that. There was no time to even speak. It was a shake the hand and give a smile and a nod, and that be it, and that was so I didn't go. There were going to be some other ones. Barry Boswick, who was going to be here last year but couldn't make it, did come back to honor that commitment that he didn't make that time that he was going to be here before. But aside from that, I really decided. Oh, and let's see. Well, a few people that I would have liked to have spoken with, but nothing that really pulled at my gut. So I did decide to forego the GeekCon. Plus, if I go next year, I will have skipped a year after going for the last several years consistently, posting about it, and it would give me a sense of newness to skip it and then go back and visit. So that's something else. But the main thing is, because I go and I buy a weekend pass. I'm like, if I can pay for the Saturday, I can go ahead and pay the extra. I can go ahead and pay the extra for the whole weekend, which is about another $30, like $55 for the Saturday, but maybe another $20 or 50, 60, 70. Yeah, it's about another $30. But what happens with that is that you get a pass for the entire weekend, and you get a swag bag with just everything. You get one of everything that's basic, like the t-shirt, poster, this and that, and everything like that. So it's cool. You come home with stuff and lots of freebies and everything. And I've done really, really good with saving money for the trip coming up. And honestly, it's not that I didn't want to see the people. I was afraid that if I went there and took money with me, I'd spend all my saved money on stuff at GeekCon, because I'm that big of a geek. But I'm going to be on my first cruise, and it's actually not just my first cruise. It's going to be my first time in outside of the country. I've been on some Florida Keys. I've been on some isles, but I've never actually been outside the jurisdiction of the United States. So I do want to have a little bit of something set aside for some souvenirs and things like that I want to pick up. So I'm excited. And oh my God, the Carnival is the company that we chose to go with. I didn't choose it. My cruising buddy, he recommended that one. How he's been on a few of them, and he was like, from our perspective, they're going to be about the same. We're going to get, like, what do you want to get out of it? And I'm like, well, they're all inclusive in food, so what's good about the food? And he's like, okay, food, Carnival, you want to do that. They're really, for this level of cruising. Hang on for a second. So I decided to go get a soda while that train was passing, and it's my Coke Zero, and basically just kind of look out and talk a little bit. I guess I can come over here. What I was recommended from various people that have been on a few different ones. The Caribbean type cruises that go to the Caribbean, Carnival Cruise, and the two big competitors, Carnival Cruise and Caribbean, or what's the other one? Yeah, maybe Caribbean. I don't know. Anyway, no, Royal Caribbean. Okay, or whatever. But anyway, and there are a few other ones, and there are actually a few brands of cruise lines that are subsidized or underwritten by the other companies or whatever like that. So, like Princess is connected. Princess Cruise is another line that's connected to one of them, and then there's something like a Hollywood Celebrity Cruise Line or something like that, or something that's an offshoot of one of them. I don't know. Been offer slightly different things, but just your good holiday cruise that goes down, it makes everybody comfortable. It's all inclusive and everything. Carnival Cruise, high rating on the food. Everybody that I've seen is like, that's the one thing they don't have a problem with. Okay. No one ever complains about the food. I've watched like YouTube. Of course, nobody really complains about the Royal Caribbean foods either. But when I've seen the rankings, they've always ranked they've always ranked the Carnival Cruise. That's the one I'm taking. They've always ranked that one with the food, and so did my friend Jay. We're buddying up on this cruise, and so so I'm taking his word on that, and and so much of the cruise is probably going to be spent outside of the room. That just a basic stateroom is what we opted for. No frills or anything like that. We thought about, did we want to upgrade or something like that? We'll see. When the time. But if we only got a few more weeks, we're probably just going to be, economist about it. I think what we want to do is the money that we were going to spend on the room upgrade. I think what we decided to do is when we get to one of the ports, I think we're going to resort for a day. Because he's like, he's not really big into shopping and souvenirs and stuff. He's already done that, and I haven't. And I said, well, can we compromise? Can we do this? And can I, I maybe spend, about an hour or so at some of the local shops. I want to get a couple of souvenirs that are local and then we'll spend the rest of the time at the cruise for a day. And we decided to pick out ones that are also all-inclusive, because a lot of these kids, it's like, what it is that you get something that's all-inclusive, or you're going to end up paying for it anyway. You're going to end up getting, hey, I want to get a chair and I want to sit down on a lounge by the ocean, or something, instead of you have to rent that for the day. And then what you have to do otherwise is you if you don't get something that's all inclusive, you'll have to pay for everything individually. It'll end up costing more, plus your food or something like that. And we're not even doing the excursion part of it that's offered by the ship. There's another service called Resort for a Day where they find you a resort that you can go to for the time that you're in port, and that is all inclusive. It's like you can get a lounge. You can, it's all you can eat all day long, all you can drink, all that is all inclusive and everything like that. And so yeah, so it's going to be worth the expense on that. So I'm setting money aside for that. But if somebody wanted to maybe skip the excursion, they maybe just wanted to kind of come off and look at what there is to see, and then turn right around, go back onto the boat or something. Like you could do that. You can spend your day while the boat's at port. You can spend your day on the boats, and that's Royal Caribbean, Carnival, pretty much all of them. They don't, you don't have to leave. But yeah, and I'm not too interested in doing everything all at once on this cruise. I really thought that I was, until I got so excited and realized during the proper times of the year, less peak times, that is to say, cruises are less expensive. And when I got this one paid off, which they let you make, you don't have to have like a whole big lump sum. That's cool too. This is not like other vacations that like, hey, let me pay a little bit more, let me pay a little bit more. I guess hotels and resorts will let you do that. I don't know. But I'm someone that, like, for the most part, I didn't go to GeekCon, remind you, because if I did, I would have spent money out of my vacation budget, and I didn't want to do that. So I did decide to pass on it this year. That was a discipline. I'm not the world's best at holding on to physical money within my reach. I have to put it out of sight, out of mind, and that's what's good about these cruises, is that they let you make installments, but catching them at the right time of the year, they're pretty damn affordable. And I found that out just by looking. It's like, oh my god, okay, in the fall, okay, into the wintry months in the Caribbean, it's a lot less expensive than going on like spring break, or something like that. You're gonna spend more, during those times, So what I decided was, that's cool, because I used to live in South Florida. I lived in Miami-Dade. In the middle of the winter, it's hot as fuck down there. So there is no winter. Like, we don't really have much of a winter. We get a winter here maybe about a month, and it gets cold, and it's like, I'm so glad when but maybe every few years we'll get like a snowy frost or something that's kind of a little bit of a flurry that'll stick for about a week. But that's a fluke when it happens for us. So but I'm so excited, and it is just over a month away. So I have begun my countdown. Listen, let me tell you, I began my countdown at the beginning of the month. I took August and I flipped it up to September, and I've been staring at September on my calendar, so much so that I thought that I didn't know that today was Sunday until like later in the evening. I was like, oh my god, I was talking to a friend, Lucy, about, just not talking to her but texting, and it was like, oh my god, you know what? We've been having this conversation, and everything that I've said has been based on my relative's perspective that I thought today was Monday. So all my scheduling was all about whatever. So it's so weird. It's because my calendar, I've been looking at September instead of August, but I don't care. I almost called today. No, I almost called the 22nd a couple of days ago. I almost called that uh, the fall equinox, but that doesn't actually happen until September the 22nd. So that's how off I've been. But it's just a reminder to my brain not to spend excessively to save money, and I've been happy for that. And I'm going. I mean, the trip's paid for or whatever. So I jokingly said, but not really jokingly, but I was like, you know what? Uh, Whatever happens, I'm going. You know, somebody you get somebody. Yeah, there's nothing that's going to stop me from going. You know, as long as I can walk to get down there, I'm going. But once we got this paid for, and I looked at the future, I started thinking, you know, I already know that I'm going to love this, and I already know what's coming up. So I can go ahead and I can start planning for my second cruise. Because when I looked at the budget on this, how everything is so awesome, I was like, I can take more than one cruise. I don't have to do everything on this cruise. I don't have to experience every single thing. I can, if I'm going to take more than one cruise in my lifetime, and now I'm certain that I am because I'm going to take another one in February. I'm certain that I can, not have to do everything all on this particular cruise, and I don't have to do everything all on, the next cruise and the cruise after that. I'm excited for that. Uh, I have spent more money, me, Mr. Cheapo, I have spent more money grabbing somebody, getting in their car, because they drive. I'm cross-eyed, basically. I, Paying for concert tickets and going to see a concert ticket, and and then the ride back, and then the catching the room out of town and everything like that. I've spent more money one night. I've spent more money on a trip going out of town one night. It was to Oklahoma City. We were going to see Pearl Jam. Yes, I spent more money on that Pearl Jam concert and that trip and everything associated with it. I spent more money on that, and this was pre-COVID or just post-COVID. I don't know. Whatever it is, whatever. I spent more money. Yeah, it was. I was still living. I was still living at the Fairmont over here, but I was about to move over here, so it was during that time. But anyway, I spent. So it was after the pandemic was declared officially not a pandemic anymore, but we were still feeling everything. But anyway, I spent more money on one night than I did um, on this cruise, and I'm factoring in, hey, we have to eat food, and you go to a bed and breakfast, but a bed and breakfast is not all inclusive. That's a misnomer. I used to think if you go to a bed and breakfast, it means you get bed and breakfast. No, it means you get bed and don't touch anything else. And if you want breakfast, you're going to pay for it. If you use anything in the room, you're going to pay for it. That kind of stuff. So this wasn't no quaint little country bed and breakfast. Come stay with you and we'll give you breakfast. The one time I did something like that, I went to Dallas and I thought about, okay, there's breakfast included, right? And there was. It was a honey bun and a banana and a juice and then coffee. So it was kind of coffee. It was breakfast to get you the hell out of their hotel. So, which is cool. That's fine. It's they don't send you away empty, and that's you know I I want to look at those kind of things when I'm away taking trips or whatever. But yeah, so I decided I spent more on that trip to see Pearl Jam, and then even some other concerts, because I was doing like this one time I went to like within the same like 12 or 13 months or whatever. I mean, I was going to, no, not all of them were big ticket things, but I did about six concerts nearly back to back. Like every month and a half, I was going out to a concert or something like that. Uh, Jen Blossom, Pearl Jam. Just I'd have to scroll back. We did Greta Van Fleet down in New Orleans. And of course we drove down there, got there, missed the first opening act, got in for to see part of the second opening act, and then we saw most of the concert. And then one of the people that we were with didn't want to stay for the thing, so we left maybe like about maybe 20 minutes before they really finished the concert, so that we could get out there and she could kind of beat the driving, and so yeah, which is fine, because we had to come we were driving all the way back to Shreveport from New Orleans, so I totally understand that. That's fine, and I had a great fun time. If Greta Van Fleet ever comes back down this way, I'll probably want to go see them again. Um, it was so great. They were really on top of things, and I haven't heard much lately, and I haven't heard much since Jake came out. Nashville was kind of doing a whole like an anti gay something 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 something. I don't know whatever kind of law they were going to pass that was going to like deregulate or re-regulate something that shouldn't have been, whatever it is. But and then the singer was opposed to it diametrically, because he said, hey, I'd been in a same-sex relationship for the last 8 years, and then what happened after that, I don't know. I quit, after that. They just kind of, so I mean, they kind of like, it wasn't like a sudden drop, it was a gradual, hey. So maybe it's just one of these things where they toured and then maybe they're just taking some rest, and then maybe they're going to come back. Maybe they weren't like canceled on the slick side. That does sometimes happen to celebrities, depending upon who they're with or whatever. But if you're in the music industry and you're largely based out of Nashville, like they weren't from Nashville, and they're a rock band and everything like that, but they did a lot of recording in Nashville. It's Music City. It's not just country music. I mean, they do a lot of stuff. So, but what it is like, yeah, politics can hurt a career. So it's a brave thing to do. Not so much that, it's, yeah. Yeah. But anyway, it was a cool thing. But if they do come back around, I will definitely go see them. Or if I happen to be someplace where they're going to be playing, I'll try to go see them. They're great. I do love live music. One of the things I'm excited about this, not only is the food all inclusive, but there's a soda package that depends upon how many nights you're going to stay there, depends upon how much it costs or whatever. So that's wonderful. And so so check this out. It's for sodas, it's about $40 for the trip, 40 to 50 to 60 depending upon, give or take, for the whole trip, like all the sodas I could drink. And have you seen the amount of soda that I drink? I drink a lot. And then coffee and tea and stuff is included. The only thing you'd pay extra for in that is if you wanted like a specialty coffee. Naturally those cost more, because they would cost more at home. Why wouldn't they cost more? But but I'll take money with me in case I want to experience an extra coffee here or there, a cappuccino or something like that. I'll do that. That's one of the reasons why I didn't go to GeekCon. Sorry, Barry Bostwick. I would have loved to have seen you. Hey, your schedule didn't work last time, my schedule didn't work this time. So anyway, but aside from all that, there's all the entertainment that happens. Oh my God, every night on this boat, there's so much. There's like, there's dance clubs for older teens, dance clubs for younger teens, dance clubs or whatever it is for like younger people, little ocean things or whatever. It's kind of cool. So if you're a family person, yeah, bring your family. But if you're a single person or you just coming without the kids, also there are adult venues. There's like adult things to do, adult clubs, adult lounges, and things like that. So uh, uh, that I think kids can still come into because it's a boat. But I just think most of them are going to be doing their whole kid thing. What 14 or 15-year-old goes on a boat and wants to be under their parents' thumb all the time? No, they want to go over and they want to have their little flirty little teen bullshit that they do at the teen club or whatever, and their soda pop, whatever, and then of course I'll be, there are not just that, but I found out that there are, out of all the amenities that are listed, there's all these programs that are listed as far as like there's certain, functions at this part of the ship or that part of the ship or whatever for, for special interest, like there's, 12-step meetings. Well, I go to 12-step meetings. So some of the cruises have 12-step meetings, and some of the cruises have, you know, uh, uh, you know, uh, you know, gay events or something like that. I guess that's what I've been told. That it's not like an exclusive gay cruise, but they do have, various different meetings and different ways to look up and meet with people who have similar interests and things like that. Just to say, hey, whatever. So it really is typically an all-inclusive kind of thing, not just for what they provide, the entertainment, but for the type of people that they welcome, and I love that. So. And now I'm going to go inside because I've got all excited talking about food, where I've got some food ready. And this one's going to be a quick, easy little surprise. Not much talking going into the food about prep, because you don't need to do anything to this. It's that simple. You're going to be like, duh. And here we go. Now this is kind of my cheat on a chicken pasta. Almost, you could do this with spaghetti noodles. It would be a chicken spaghetti, um, give or take. Um, my variation on it is basically, you could get the you could uh, they sell this kind of stuff in boxes, and sometimes specially branded like Chicken Helper or something like that, or whatever. You're going to pay a lot more for it, specialty branded. What I did was, this is so cool, because I had in my pantry already uh, some cans of white meat chicken. So this is canned chicken, but you can use fresh chicken if you have leftover chicken or something like that. This is one box of the shells and cheese with the sauce in it. So it's the deluxe kind. Um, Cook the shells. I omit the salt. They say add a pinch of salt or whatever. I do it for, they say 8 to 10 minutes. I do it for about 6 or 7 minutes, and then I strain it off. And the reason why is because I'm going to put some other things in here. The reason why is the box says about 1/3 is a serving, and 1/3 yields about 52 grams of carbs. Well, uh, I allow myself 50 grams, give or take, in a day, so that works for me. But um, that's just with the mac and cheese. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to fill this out, because I feel like a box of macaroni and cheese certainly can feed more than 3 people. you know, it can also feed one person, depending upon how big my appetite is. Um, And to ensure that I stay in my budget, what I did was I added a lot of chicken. You can see how much chicken is in here. You're going to see how much is really in here when you get underneath this cheese, because what I did was I put the cheese sauce in that little foil packet that comes in your shells and cheese. Uh, and I put in some unsalted butter. You remember, because in all these boxes, they have salt in it. So I don't need to add salt. That's one of the things that I do in this chicken. Even though I strained all the juice off the chicken and I put it in with the sauce and the shells, as I was gently stirring, not to misshapen the shell so much. Misshapen the shell. Say that fast. I can't believe I said it without like a lisping and stuttering. Uh, Dish shaping the shells. Anyway, what I did was gently toss that around and then kind of pat it down and kind of get it a little flat. And then I added Colby, yeah, Colby Jack, you know. Um, no, Colby cheddar. It was like a cheddar and Colby blend. That's what I used, and just kind of sliced it off and put it on top, just like, you know, to where I knew that it would give kind of a cheese topping, and then put down a little paprika. No need to get super spicy with this one. Paprika, and then a little bit of green Italian seasoning, and between the two, uh, brought this up to a low medium, because while I was preparing all this, I turned all the heat off, but I did set it back on the same burner. You know, you do have to obviously drain your macaroni and cheese before you put your sauce in it or whatever. So anyway, so there's so much stuff you can do. You can add, if you don't want to add chicken, you can add sausage, or you can add chicken and sausage. You could do so much stuff. You could bacon crumble or whatever. This is not a heart healthy thing, and uh, but I hardly ever really get into this decadent of a break. Now, this feels like it's a diet break, right? Remember, 1/3 of this is going to feed me. It's going to be a serving. Well, I added probably about uh, half as much. Like there's probably as much macaroni in here. There's probably as much chicken to match that. Once we get in here and cut it, you'll see what I'm talking about. And then, so what that does is that actually decreases the amount of per serving that this now is. It decreases the amount of carbs per serving, because I'm eating a lot more protein. Like, so if it were, say, 52, but then in my little mind, the fiber, there's uh, yeah, like 3 grams of fiber or something like that. That brings us down to 49 uh, for a third of this pan here. Uh, 49 grams of carbs. But I have added all this chicken, which is basically zero carb. If there's any carb, it's so incidental, like a piece here or there or whatever, but really it's by this time it's incidental. So pour off all the fluids from that and then toss it in. So then I can take my carbs and I can cut it in half if I'm watching carbs. And what I have here is, instead of 49, I got about 25. I'll go up on that. So 25 per serving, right? But because you have no idea. I've added a lot of cheese. That cheese basically is you know going to increase the amount of serving also, and it's going to fill up. And instead of needing to eat a third of this, I'm basically going to be able to eat a fourth of this per meal. This is going to feed 4 meals for me, and each one of those meals, would not be more than 20 grams of carbs. You know, if you were going to do this and have it, you could cut this into six. You probably feed up to six people with this, really. I feel like a box of macaroni and cheese can do that anyway. I mean, yes, we can sit and if we're going to a big dinner, making a big production and everything like that. Yes, we can get big portions, but the fact of the matter is, the more varied, um, like if you were having this, this would be the main dish here, but you could have like just maybe slice it out like a pizza. Maybe just have like a sixth of it per your meal. It is so the carbs are going to expand in your stomach. If you this is one of these things if you eat slower, you'll find that you'll eat a lot less of it, especially the way that I've got it plumped out. But if you wanted to, you could add carrots to it. You could add your peas or whatever, that kind of stuff. You just whatever you do, whatever you add to, you look at the carbs. Am I adding carbs? Okay, well then I have to adjust the portion size accordingly for the carbs that I'm going to have. Or if you're counting calories, you really realize that adding chicken, even from a can or whatever, is certainly going to add some calories. So if your goal is, like me, to really go with right now, I want to get to where I'm eating maybe 1,000 calories a day. That's what I want to do right now. Because keto, perfect keto, you want to be, when you're losing, you want to be 800. But I'm a very like I stand up, I walk a lot, and I've been very energetic, and so I'm allowing myself, because I've been more physical lately. I've been out in the heat a lot more in the day due to just needing to. Um, so I'm okay with having that extra couple of hundred calories, because I know I'm going to burn them off. I'm sitting here. I've hardly eaten anything today that has anything to do with the carb. I've had like a little bit of leftover meatloaf. If you watched the video back a few days ago, I made some meatloaf. I finished the rest of that off today, and but in small pieces, small portions, a couple of bites at a time, just to get through to lunch. But other than that, no, this is going to be it. So I'm really doing good as far as I'm doing good as far as my budget. I'm doing good as far as my food goes, and I'm really, really saving up, because when I go on this cruise, I'm just gonna eat it all. Whatever I want, I'm just gonna num 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 num. Jay says people go there and they'll come back and they gain an average of like 5 to 10 pounds or something like that, like, or whatever. He just kind of whatever. I'm like, well, whatever. I don't care, because I'll come back and I'll lose it. Okay, so let me pause this. Let me plate it up, show you what it looks like. Okay, now look at this. That's all I put on my plate right here. Uh-oh. And this that fell off. Okay. And this is what it looks like on the plate. That is a lot. It spreads out, falls apart. There really is no way to take a warm pasta casserole that's just finished and you've let it basically sit just to reconstitute. Basically, there's really no way to take this and scoop it from a pan to a plate and it hold its shape like this. The very next day, tomorrow, what I cut out of the pan will hold its shape. But that's because it's going to have been refrigerated, and then when I heat it, it will hold its shape a little more. But just fresh pasta casserole of any sort, it's not going to happen. That's why, a lot of, if I were doing like a large lasagna or something like that, I would probably do them, I would probably, prearrange them, know how everything's going to be arranged in the pan. I don't really do large lasagnas that much anymore because of keto. But if I did, I would layer them so that they would come out in like, uh, you know, 4 by 5 inches or something like that, or even smaller, just to lay on the plate or whatever, or uh, a lot of restaurants, a lot of large Italian restaurants will cook them even individually, or whatever, or a few portions at a time. It's really really hard to take a pasta dish, especially one that's comprised like this, and it hold its shape. You know, if you want to throw a little breading on here, I don't think it needs breadcrumbs. You could do Parmesan cheese. So if you wanted to beef this up some more or add a little more sausage or whatever, you could, whatever. You could basically treat this pasta the same way that you would treat a pizza. Anything that you can add to a pizza, you can add to pasta. It's going to be wonderful. That's my general rule. If you wanted to, you could add some cream of mushroom and some mushroom caps. I'm not really a mushroom person. Um, you know, uh, there's only one kind of mushrooms that I used to like, and I don't eat those anymore. So anyway, um, my, um, let's give this a try. Now this is really good. This is this is about as simple as you can get. I'm talking way too much about this. Let me just enjoy it. Mm. So the salt that they say add to it, if you're using, unseasoned, unflavored, just chicken, just chicken out of maybe it came out of a brine or something like that, but doesn't have much of a flavor, from like a rotisserie chicken or something like that, or your leftover chicken. If the white meat's not overly flavored, you could add some salt to it if you want to, but if it's coming out of a can like this, please consider not adding sodium. We're finding out it's the less sodium that we have, the better. And this was not necessarily like low sodium chicken. And for some reason, it's the table salt they want us to back off of. But something that contains like monosodium glutamate, it's right there in the title, sodium. So it's yeah, derived from sodium or something like that, connected to sodium. I don't know. There's something else I don't understand. Sugar and honey, honey and sugar, wherever it comes from, brown sugar, powdered sugar, cane sugar. Sugar is sugar is sugar. Nutritionally, it's not. One form of sugar is not going to be healthier for your body than another form of sugar. But sugar is not the only natural sweetener. So we know of stevia. There's a couple of other ones that I can't quite think of. Now, Splenda is a chemically derived from sugar, but it's not sugar. It's been, you know, changed. Aspartame, which is what is in Coke Zero, when it first came out, it was branded as NutraSweet. There was, and I cannot remember, very first time I heard about this, it was a lower sugar in the early 80s, and it was a new cereal, and the mascot, I can't remember, but it was like the little crunch, like a little, but it was, well, I don't know. But the mascot was a king and had like a crown. That's all I remember. But the cereal itself looked like breakfast cereal, had an interesting thing. It was, but the new thing about this is that it was flavored with um, um, NutraSweet, and they gave us a whole big thing on the back of the box that talked to us about, the difference in this is that it, and it's true. I ate that cereal. I loved it. Even as a kid, it was like, wow, this is great. And I wasn't even like health conscious. I was in third grade when I discovered this cereal. Uh, I'll have to look up one day breakfast cereals of the 80s and see if I can recognize it. But it was like, I could eat this. Well, so yeah, a lot less sugar and basically was sweetened primarily with NutraSweet, which later on uh, I learned was aspartame, where the brand name of it used to be NutraSweet, and I guess it still is. I don't know. I think now in the ingredients they don't say NutraSweet, or they don't just blast NutraSweet all over the thing or whatever. But it's a different way of sweetening diet sodas and diet foods that used to be almost exclusively done by saccharin, which can sometimes have, I'm sorry, almost a bitter or an aftertaste or something. Now that worked with Diet Coke. It kind of gave it a unique flavor that almost gave it a different brand. And they were right, just for the taste of it was their logo. And sometimes you would want to drink a Diet Coke just because it tasted like Diet Coke. But when it came around to, I'm a Coca Cola dude. I was raised on this. Um, it's probably my worst habit, or my second worst habit. Let's see. Yeah. Um, Zero sugars, zero carbs, way too much. I'm going to maybe think about, well, how do you get the bubbles and the carbonation if they cut back on the bicarbonates of soda? So, but how much of it is a daily allowance? How much am I terrorizing myself? I'm talking about health, and it's like I'm basically, well, I do not know. Uh, because I'm trying to read through condensation. Hold on this can of soda. 2% of my sodium allowance. Each one of these gives me 2% of my daily allowance. So, of sodium. So that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, how many of those I could probably drink if on a day of fasting where I'm just drinking and eating like just a piece of here or there. I probably could drink several of those and not get to 100% of the daily allowance. So the daily allowance is what they recommend that you are allowed to have. I would never recommend anybody just go hungry if they don't have to. But I've learned in life that I don't have to go all the way to the edge of the line in any situation and kind of like toe that line and just kind of like, ooh, like it's kind of like your brother or your sister growing up and you got their finger right next to them and you're like, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you, I'm not touching you. Well, I don't have to treat my diet like that either. Just because um, there's this allowance that they recommend that I'm allowed to have, I can come in a little bit underneath that if I feel like I need to. I mean, and the people who are building bulk, the bodybuilders, when I think of how much they're consuming a day while they're really, really growing, it's like, oh my God. It's like all they're doing is eating and pumping iron, eating and pumping iron. Uh, so, and I'm like, well, wow, I'm trying to lose weight, uh, especially body fat, but I do want to increase, you know, muscle. Uh, so those kind of things is going to have to be a gradual thing for me. Uh, and yeah, that's cool. I've been totally happy with the results of my working out. I do need to get back at it, but I'm just hearing that our weather is going to get a little bit cooler in the next week than what it has been pretty much all summer. It's been a hot summer. and I've mostly been going out at night because of the weather. Uh, but I'm a nocturnal kind of person anyway, if you can't tell. And by the way, I'm eating this, and this little bit that I've eaten, and I'm already kind of getting full. If that does that make sense? I don't know if it does or not. Pastas and things like that, they will if you don't just scarf them, if you take your time and eat them a little slower. That's why I like making a little videos over my food. It kind of makes me eat a little slower. I will finish this, but I do feel that I am kind of getting, you know, uh, a little less hungry, like whatever, So, yeah. Um, but let me have a little bit more of that. um, this flavor, this particular, this is my cheat for a chicken spaghetti, but I made it with the shells. Um, if you really wanted to impress your people, don't use these shells that came with the box. You literally could use semolina pasta of any shape, uh, in the same quantity, of course. And, so if you wanted to have pasta, like a spaghetti, and then strain it and then put it in the pan and then stir all this in and have your real spaghetti thing, you could do that, and then chop up a couple of small little bitty uh, tomatoes. You don't want a big tomato sauce or something like this, but you could put a couple of pieces of tomato in here just for looks or something. That wouldn't really kill it or hurt it. I know that there are little kids who might see this, everywhere in the entire macaroni and cheese eating world and flip out. What are you doing to my mac and cheese? It's always been one of my favorites growing up. Mostly, I think, because when I was growing up, they told me that macaroni and cheese was my favorite food. Because they told me that, I just adopted it as my favorite food. It just so happened to be good, right? Several years later, I'm a teenager and 13, 14 years old, something like that. And there'd always been this weird thing on the school lunch that would come around that was just the most awful tasting meat. I had no idea what it was. It was disgusting. It was bitter. I couldn't deal with it. I wouldn't eat it. I had no idea what it was. I don't care. Whatever it is, I thought it was like some sort of steak or something, but whatever it is, they didn't know what they were doing. So for some reason, I don't know, my mother gets a hold of this stuff. I don't know what it is. It didn't quite look like what I thought or whatever. It was like, I don't know. She told me it was a steak, like a beef steak, a steak. And I went to eat it. And oh my God, was it just as disgusting as the stuff that's on our school lunches sometimes. So, it was liver, if you hadn't picked up on it. I do not like liver. Um, there are certain ways that I could have it as an adult, like in a pate. Um, we say pate, but there's something else that's almost exactly like that we have in our staple all the time. And I never minded eating it. Potted meat, which is very similar to a pate, which is also very similar to, it's very similar to a souse, but that's more of a pork thing or whatever. But anyway, so a potted meat, the little cans of potted meat, they're just camp outs and quick grabs everywhere, right? One day, my sister told me about beef tripe, and I was like, well, and then it was in potted meat, and I'm like, well, I'm never going to eat potted meat again, and I never had. This is one of the things that I used to eat, not necessarily because it was delicious or good, but because it was there and it was okay, it was edible. But yeah, I was like, ugh, that I don't need to do that anymore. Um, that's cool. So, but yeah, I do know what it's like to have like a young, you know, childlike palate, and I like because I still don't like a lot of anything that's bitter. And you know what I found out about that is that it's a natural response because a lot of toxins, a lot of things that are poisonous, they will either have the bitterness of, like something that's way on the alkaline side of things, or they'll either have something that's really, really sour, uh, that let us know that, hey, it's gone over, it's a little rancid, or either that, it's on the acidy side of things. So that if it's too bitter, we think that it might be poisonous, and if we, naturally, and if it's too sour, we think in our mind, our reaction is that the food has become toxic and that it's no longer good. So those are natural instincts born into the human child as he's learning his taste buds. So if you are a parent with a picky child, just understand that your child has uh, a strong uh, reaction to things that may or may not be good for them. And possibly, I would love to do I would love to do a study one day, or see a study about people with really overly sensitive palates like I have. That I didn't want things that were too bitter. And that's why I didn't like a lot of vegetables. A lot of vegetables naturally have a bitterness to them, and so that's why we get food, and we have to like dress it with condiments, go crazy, and so sometimes we negate the healthiness of our food. Like for instance, I can't eat this every day. This is way too much. You know, uh, like even cheese. When I have cheese with my meat as a side dish or whatever on when I'm doing keto, I don't have this much cheese. I normally have a few you know chunks of it, just of a strong flavored cheese, to let that flavor linger in my mouth and balance out and give a variance to kind of fool me into thinking that I'm eating a side dish. But I could do this now, but I couldn't do this every day. And even this portion, 1/6 of that pan, I couldn't do that every day and think that I'm going to lose weight. So it's just about knowing the goal, knowing what fits into your life and your goal or whatever. But this is definitely an easy thing to do if you want something for the family, and they're a little older and they're not little bitty kids. Um, One of the things you could do is you could make the macaroni and cheese as directed, and then take whatever you're going to feed your little small children out and put it into a cup and set it to the side, and then dress the rest of the macaroni and cheese. You know, uh, if you need to do that, you know. But this with a little bit of a spring salad off to the side, or I don't know, a couple of carrots or something. Raw would be the only way I'd want to eat them. Uh, I only eat carrots when they're raw, and I need to think some more about that. Thing is, one person does not eat a whole thing of carrots. I don't. I would like one carrot would last me 2 days. One whole carrot would last me 2 days. for the amount that I eat carrots. Well, you know. Um, okay, so I'm really enjoying this, but I could have had a lot less of this on my plate. I've taken about a sixth of that. I could have taken a lot less. But whatever. I'll kind of knick-knack and eat it slow. I'm going to close this video. I'm going to say love and light. And I'm going to go ahead and close it now so I can go ahead and put the lid back on that cheese and get it prepped so I can get it into the refrigerator. And the reason why is because it's a cheese product, and cheese product is a milk product, and butter is a milk product. I know people sit the butter out and leave it out for, all day long or whatever. I bring the butter out if I'm going to have people over. I'll bring it out, set it on the table, and we'll eat it. If we're going to butter bread with it or something like that, and then it goes, back into the fridge. I don't leave it sitting out all day long. I don't, it's whatever. I don't care. It's refrigerated at the store. It's going to be refrigerated at home. But yeah, I'm so not into that. You're not supposed to really leave dairy out for very long, and you're not really supposed to eat cooked meat out for very long. So it's about time for this to go up. Bon appetit, love and light. God bless. I love you, and good night.